to Ancient Mysteries. Today I am starting the official live stream for the wonderful world of weirdness and strange stories, so that I can do these live stream via the internet, and just like I have done yesterday with my previous stream. I do have Skype available and open. Mark is here. He just showed up. Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Hello.
I just got your YouTube notification, and I was just reviewing your recording. Gonna have to do something with that for them.
Yeah, I ended up switching it, turning it down. That's what I noticed in the testing part and everything. So I was able to get the introduction going. So we are in the middle of the show, so that you know, so you're on live stream. But yeah, I went through and adjusted that. I should probably turn it up a little bit more, but it was a little bit too loud. If that's what
YouTube. What's the lag between YouTube and live?
The lag?
Yeah, the time.
You're talking about the time difference between it.
Yeah.
It's maybe about 2 seconds. It's not supposed to have any, but it does have it. So.
Well, in that case, yeah, you're gonna have to increase your volume even further.
Hold on, I got a crazy cat meowing at the door. Got freaking snow or ice falling down, and it's raining on top of it, and this stupid cat wants to go in and out like it's some kind of freaking festival or something, you know? Can't believe it. So got freaking. Okay, so let me hit pause real quick before he drives me nuts, and or not pause, but mute, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna let him out the door. Alright.
That is. Actually, it's not longer than 2 seconds. It's like. Oh.
Yeah, it seems like he knows exactly when I'm doing this stuff too. He'll be right at the back door when it gets started. So.
Longer than 2 seconds. It's like.
Alright, so I am back.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get this started. Make sure that audio on that video isn't loud, because it'll cause a loop.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah. I paused. Yeah, I was just confused. You were talking, and I was listening to you on YouTube as well.
Right.
So true.
So today what I want to do is I want to get back into some of this ancient history, and I'm wanting to go back over some stuff that I had done previous to the time that I went over the Amorites with Tan. The last time I did this with Karma. And the reason why I want to do that is because there were some things that I wanted to focus on, but I decided not to, because we ended up getting to some deities that we were discussing called Mod, and that led us into a lot of Canaanite stuff that I decided would probably be a good idea to cover. But if anybody kept up with that series, that ended up being a disaster with me and Karma. So that in the long term didn't turn out all that well. And I don't really suggest that anybody, do a live stream concerning the Canaanite religion. That's just not a good idea. Just for future reference, if anybody's curious about doing that. The reason why I did it was because I used to watch a guy who does history clips that aren't really that long. They're maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, and he's called History with Cy, and he got into it, and he did a pretty good job of it. So I was like, it's actually something that I wanted to get into because, first of all, there's a lot of controversy about it, even today, among a lot of people, even the scholars and stuff. And I was like, yeah, it'd be a good idea to kind of get into it, even though I really didn't like talking about the Canaanites and the Levant. It's kind of an issue that I really didn't want to deal with, which kind of encouraged me to do it. But I went ahead and did it. But my whole purpose of it is that wasn't really the direction that I wanted to go on that. I'm glad I did it in the long run after all of it, because I was able to kind of get out some of the stuff that I had issues with, and I was able to cover a lot of that. During this last year or so, but I think that I want to go back over it again and kind of get into the more serious parts about this. How much information do you know about ancient history, Mark? Mark?
So you're talking about when I was a kid, I took a lot of interest in Greek, Roman, and Egyptian.
Okay, so you'd have some, at least some general knowledge in the Greek. Everybody likes to call it mythology. I don't really like calling it mythology, but you would know some stuff about that then, right?
Again, mainly sort of mythological sort of things rather than actual history. But
now, what I want to do too is I want to introduce some of the ancient Greek philosophy as well. And to start that off, I want to go over what they call the first principle. Do you have any idea of what that's about?
it rings a bell, but you'll have to remind me.
Okay, I can read it out to you then. Now, in ancient Greek philosophy, a first principle from which other principles are derived is called an arc, and later first principle or element. By extension, it may mean first place, method of government, empire, realm, authorities. The concept of an arc was adapted from the earliest cosmogonies of Hesiod and Orphism through the physical theories of pre-Socratic philosophy and Plato before being formalized as a part of metaphysics by Aristotle. Arc, sometimes also transcribed as arche, is an ancient Greek word that with primary senses, beginning or origin or the source of action, from the beginning or the original argument, command. The first principle or element corresponds to the ultimate underlying substance, an ultimate undemonstrable principle. That's a hard word right there. But the heritage of Greek mythology already embodied the desire to articulate reality as a whole, and this universalizing impulse was fundamental to the first projects of speculative theorizing. It appears that the order of being was first imaginatively visualized before it was abstractly thought. So what they're saying there is it was visualized by the imagination first before it became a thought. You know, and you kind of get that with Zoroastrianism as well. And here in a little bit, I'm also going to want to go over a couple of other things before we get into like the later parts of history, because I'm wanting to cover with everybody what pre-Greek substrates are, and then I want to also go over Proto-Indo-European languages and stuff like that too, because I believe that that's important. Because like when people talk about the Near East, they really get confused about a lot of things, much less the Greeks, you know what I mean? And I find that a lot of people also get confused when it comes to areas like the Russian steppe and the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, you know what I mean? And there's a reason for that, is because a lot of this stuff is intermingled, and it's hard for people in today's world to understand that it's all connected, you know, that there were root words that go back to the fundamentals of language. And when I say language, I'm not talking about what's written down, I'm talking about what's spoken, you know what I mean, the actual words. Like water in Turkey is the same as what water in English is, and that's because they have they come from an original source, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Much like a lot of European languages are based on Latin, and there is a crossover between, let's say, English and Spanish, or English and German, and
right,
so forth and so on.
And a lot of that's intermingled with Indo-European languages, and a lot of people don't understand that originally came from right around the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, you know what I mean, right up in that region, and it spread out, and that's it. A lot of migration patterns start in the east and they travel west, but the Indo-European civil or cultures, they went the opposite way. They went from the west to the east and then back to the west, you know what I mean?
So from Greece to Latin to further east.
The weird part about Greece, which is different from the rest of the Indo-Aryan migration patterns, is they actually had a direct source. Like, it split off. The people that went east and then came back, but then there was a culture that actually moved down from the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea up around Germany and then down under into Turkey, and then they went right down.